Chapter 4 Description of Suryavansh. King Sagar had two queens, Sumti, the daughter of Kashyapa, and Keshini, the daughter of Vidarbha's king. Keshini had a son Asmanjas, whereas Sumti had 60,000 sons. Anshuman was the son of Asmanjas. Asmanjas was very whimsical since his childhood. Even in his youth, he did not change his behavior. Hence King Sagar had abandoned Asmanjas. But the things did not improve for Sagar because even his 60,000 sons followed the footsteps of Asmanjas. The gods one day approached sage Kapila, who was a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Greeting him, they said, if the 60,000 sons of Sagar continued on their whimsical way, the earth would not remain suitable for living. Sage Kapila assured the gods that the 60,000 sons of Sagar would meet their fate very soon. By the instigation of Sage Kapila, King Sagar organized an Ashwamedha Yajna. The 60,000 princes also followed the horse guarding it. But somehow Indra managed to kidnap the horse and tethered it at the hermitage of Sage Kapila. The 60,000 princes searched for the horse, and following the footprints, they also reached the hermitage. There they found the horse and also a sage in deep meditation. Thinking that the sage might have been responsible for abduction of the horse, they began to abuse him. As soon as Sage Kapila, disturbed by the abuses, opened his eyes, a flame appeared and incinerated all the 60,000 princes. When King Sagar came to know about this incident, he sent Anshuman to bring back that horse. Anshuman also reached the hermitage and greeted Sage Kapila with respect. Pleased by his politeness, Sage Kapila blessed Anshuman and instructed him to take the horse away with him. He also asked him to seek a boon. As the boon, Anshuman only sought the salvation for his 60,000 dead uncles. Sage Kapila assured Anshuman that his ancestors would certainly attain to the heaven, but only after a long wait, and that his grandson Bhagirath would bring the Ganges onto the earth, and that the Ganges waters would wash the ashes of his ancestors to the ocean and cause their salvation. Thus blessed by the Sai Kapila, Anshuman returned to the capital with the horse in order to help his grandfather finish the yajna. Anshuman had a son Dilip. Dilip's son was Bhagirath, who observed severe penance and pleased Ganga to descend on the earth. Since the Ganges had descended on earth because of Bhagirath's penance, she also got a name Bhagirthi. The lineage of Bhagirath grew as follows: Bhagirath, Suhotra, Shruti, Nabhag, Ambarish, Sindhudvip, Ayutayu, Rituparn, Sarvakam, Sudas, and Saudas. One day, King Saudas went hunting in the forests. There he spotted a pair of the tigers. They were actually a tiger and a tigress in mating. Saudas killed one of them by his arrow, while the other turned into a demon and, threatening of an avenge, disappeared from the scene. In due course, King Saudas organized a yajna in the auspices of Sage Vashishta. Towards the end of yajna, Sage Vashishta went away to take bath. Meanwhile, the same demon arrived there in the guise of Vashishta and expressed his desire to eat non-vegetarian food. Then the demon arrived before the king in the guise of the cook. The king ordered him to cook meat for the sage. The cook cooked human flesh and served it before the sage. Sage Vashishta knew that the food contained human flesh. He cursed the king in anger to be a demon. Within 3 days, King Saudas became a demon and began to roam in the forests. Since then he ate the humans only. One day, Saudas in demon form saw Muni who was in the process of mating his wife. The demon caught and ate the Muni, neglecting all the cries and wailing of his wife. The Brahmani angrily cursed the demon that as her husband had been killed while he was about to sate his carnal lust, similarly he would also die right in the same process. King Saudas remained in the demon's form for 12 more years. After that he recovered from the curse and began to rule like a pious king. One day, King Saudas saw the queen in an amorous condition and an impulse of carnal pleasure ran within his body. He made advances to satisfy his lust, but the queen, who knew everything about the curse, stopped him, reminding him of the curse. Since then the king stuck to celibacy. Since the king had no son, he allowed his queen Madhyanti to conceive a child with the help of sage Vashishta. The queen did conceive, but the fetus remained unborn for 7 years at length. At last the irritated queen hit her fetus with a stone. This resulted in the birth of child at once. The child was named Ashmak. The lineage of Ashmak grew as follows: Ashmak, Mulak, Dashrath, Ilivil, Vishwasa, and Khatwang. Khatwang had killed many formidable demons fighting by the side of the gods. Pleased by his gallantry, the gods wanted to grant him a boon. Khatwang wanted to know how long would live more. The gods told him that he would live for 1 muhurta more. Hearing this, Khatwang came back on earth and prayed Lord Vishnu to take him in his refuge. At last he did annihilated with Lord Vishnu. Lineage of Khatwang grew as follows: Khatwang, Dirghabhu, Raghu, Aja, and Dashrath. King Dashrath had 3 queens who gave birth to 4 sons: Rama, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna. Rama was an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. His life too had lot of ups and downs. After being trained in archery, he and Lakshman spent most of their boyhood time in the hermitage of sage Vishwamitra, guarding his yagyas from the demons. After that, when Vishwamitra was taking them to Mithila, Lord Rama saved Ahilya, who had been converted into a stone by the curse of her husband sage Gautam. In Mithila, Lord Rama broke the bow of Lord Shiva and won Sita as his wife. When they returned to Ayodhya, King Dashrath decided to crown Rama as the new king. But misguided by mantra, Queen Kaikeyi stubbornly sought that her son Bharat should be crowned as the new king, whereas Rama should be sent on an exile for 14 years. Bounded by his promises that he had made to Kaikeyi earlier, King Dashrath had no choice but to accept her demands. Thus, to keep his father's words, Lord Rama accepted the exile. Sita and Lakshman also followed his steps. In the forests, the demon king Ravana deceitfully abducted Sita. It was followed by meeting of Rama with Hanuman and Sugriv, killing of Bali, Sugriv's brother, finding of Sita by Hanuman in Lanka, bridging of the sea that separated Lanka, fierce battle with the demons, and ultimately killing of Ravana by Lord Rama. After the completion of exile period, Lord Rama returned to Ayodhya and ruled there for 12 years. Lord Rama had 2 sons, Lava and Kusha. Lineage of Kusha grew as follows: Kusha, Atithi, Nishad, Anil, Nabh, Pundarik, Shemdhanva, Devanik, Ahinaka, Ruru, Paryatrak, Deval, Vanchal, Pulka, Vazarnabha, Shankhan, Yushitashva, Vishwasaha, Hiranyanam, Pushya, Dhruva Sandhi, Sudarshan, Agnivarn, Shairag, Maru, Prasushrut, Susandhi, Amarsh, Sahaswan, and Vishwabhav. Vishwabhav had a son Brihdal who was killed by Abhimanyu in the battle of Mahabharat. Chapter 5 Tale of Nimi and description of his lineage. Ikshvaku's son Nimi once decided to organize a yajna that was to last for 1000 years. He also wanted the sage Vashishtha to guide the yajna. But Indra had already booked Vashishtha for a period of 500 years. So sage Vashishtha expressed his inability to conduct any other yajna till the completion of that period and requested the king to wait till he was free from Indra's obligations. Nimi kept quiet at that time. Taking his silence as an approval, the sage began the yajna for Indra. But the king meanwhile started yajna in the auspices of other sages, like Gautam etc. At the completion of yajna for Indra, sage Vashishtha hurried back to the earth to conduct yajna for King Nimi. But here he found that a yajna was already in progression. This infuriated the sage to the extent that he poured down curse on Nimi, who was sleeping at that time, to lose his body at once. When the king learned about the curse, and that he was cursed in sleep, he cursed the sage in retaliation to lose his body at once before giving up his own body. By the curse of Nimi, Vashishtha's body was destroyed, but he himself entered the semen of Mitravaruna. Thereafter, one day Mitravaruna happened to see the Apsara Urvashi. Her amorous beauty caused the ejaculation of his semen spontaneously. With ejaculated semen, sage Vashishtha also came out and acquired a new body. On the other hand, at end of yajna, when the gods appeared to accept their due share from the offerings, the sages prayed them to grant Nimi some boon. Nimi, however, sought nothing in boon, but expressed his desire to stay in eyes of the people forever. The gods granted that desire. Before that, nobody had ever blinked his eyes. Blinking of eyes came into practice because Nimi stays there. In order to save the kingdom from anarchy, the sages churned the dead body of Nimi with a stick of bombax tree and produced a son. That son came to known as Janka. Since he was born from the dead body of his father, the boy also came to be known as Vadeha. Lineage of Janka continued as follows: Janka, Udvasu, Nandivardhan, Suketu, Devrat, Brihadukta, Mahavirya, Sudhriti, Grishtaketu, Haryashv, Manu, Pratit, Kritrath, Devghid, Vibudh, Mahadhriti, Kritraj, Maharoma, Suvarnaroma, Rasyaroma and Sirdhvaj. With a desire of a son, Sirdhvaj was once ploughing the earth when he stumbled upon a pitcher. In the pitcher, he found a beautiful baby whom he named as Sita. Chapter 6 Description of Somavash and Tale of Pururava. The creator of the world, Brahma, had a son named Atri. Chandrama was the son of Atri. Once, Chandrama organized a Rajsuya Yajna and received great powers. Afterwards, blinded by his powers, Chandrama kidnapped Tara, the wife of Brihaspati. Even his grandfather Brahma tried to dissuade him from committing such a grave crime, but Chandrama was not to listen to anybody. Because his hostility with Brihaspati, the teacher of the demons Shukra, was also assisting Chandrama. At that moment of need, only Rudra came forward to help Brihaspati. A fierce battle followed between Chandrama and Rudra. The gods were helping Brihaspati while, because of Shukra, the demons fought from the side of Chandrama. Soon the battle assumed the proportion of a war that perplexed the entire world. At last, Lord Vishnu mediated to end the battle and helped Brihaspati to get his wife back. By that time Tara had conceived a child. Seeing her condition, Brihaspati instigated Tara to abort the baby. Tara aborted the baby amidst some shrubs, but it did not die. Instead, his brilliance dulled even the radiance of the gods. The baby was so beautiful that both Brihaspati and Chandrama were eager to accept him. To settle the matter, Brahma asked Tara about the paternity of the child. Feeling shy, Tara revealed that Chandrama was the father of the child. Then Brahma himself adopted the child and named him as Buddha. When he grew young, Buddha produced Pururava from Illa. Pururava was very magnanimous and handsome. Once an Apsara Urvashi happened to see him and at once fell in love. She then approached Pururava. Her beauty enchanted Pururava also. He requested the Apsara to stay with him. But Urvashi stipulated that she might stay with him if he agreed to follow her to conditions: that he would never drive the two sheep, which were like her children, away from her bed, and that he would never undress before her in visible light. Pururava accepted both the conditions. Since then Pururava began to live with Urvashi. Together they enjoyed their physical intimacy for 60,000 years. Their love grew so much that even Urvashi forgot those heavenly comforts that she used to enjoy once. Because of her absence, even the heaven appeared more dreaded than hell. At last, one Vishwavasu who knew about the conditions stole one sheep from their bedroom and flew away. Hearing the cries of the sheep, Urvashi got up in anxiety and shouted who was stealing her son. But Pururava pretended as if asleep for the fear of being seen naked. As the fuss grew further, he could no more contain himself and ran after the thief. Right at that moment, the Gandharvas produced intense lightning illuminating the whole scene. As a result, Urvashi saw Pururava in a naked state and at once left his palace to her heavenly abode, for now both of her conditions had been violated. Pururava could not tolerate the separation of Urvashi. He began to roam here and there in that bare condition like a mad. Thus roaming he reached at Kamal Sarovar in Kurukshetra, where he saw Urvashi with 4 other elves. Seeing Urvashi, Pururava began to behave madly. It was impossible for him to control his sensual desires even in the presence of other elves. But Urvashi stopped him, saying that she was expecting an issue and after a year she will give birth to his child. She also promised at that time she will stay with him for a night. After a year, King Pururava once again reached that place where Urvashi handed over his son Ayu. As per her promise, she also stayed with Pururava for a night and consequently in later course gave birth to 5 more sons. Urvashi informed Pururava that because of their love, Gandharvas wished to bless him with a boon. Pururava sought a lifelong union with Urvashi. Gandharvas presented him with an altar and instructed to conduct regular yajnas properly. Then all of his desires would come true, the Gandharvas assured Pururava. But King Pururava left that altar in the forest and returned to his capital. At midnight, he awakened suddenly as if from a trance and hurried to the forest to recover his altar. But the altar was no more there, it had transformed into a peepal tree. Pururava got that tree felled and brought it to his capital, where the carpenters made arni, a wooden implement used in ancient India to produce fire, from its wood. Since then Pururava conducted regular yagyas with the help of that Arni and attained to the Gandharvaloka, where he was never separated from Urvashi again.